Alright, today let's take a look at this. Sold to me from Amazon on Prime Day for $13.99. Regular price is $25.99. I get a $12 discount on Prime Day. Probably wouldn't have bought it otherwise. Didn't really need it, but it got my curiosity, and it looks pretty cool in the picture. Excelvan BM-800. The box just says professional large diaphragm, studio recording microphone, studio microphone, new series. And the picture doesn't quite match the contents, but it does give you instructions on where to open the box, so let's do it. Here's some paperwork. Okay, now normally I just throw this to the side, but in the event that you actually want to see this, just pause it and you can read that to your heart's content. Okay, there is a decent looking shock mount. It has the hair tie looking rubber bands. Nothing wrong with this design. It works fine. At least I assume so. Here's a foam, pop filter, windscreen, whatever you want to call it. Here's the mic itself. It looks cool to me. This, if I were to guess, I would say that is a metallic blue finish paint job. I'm gonna guess the body is aluminum. This piece here, that feels like chrome-plated plastic, like you would get from a model car. It looks as though, and the picture on Amazon looks as though it's an end address, but you can look inside there and see the element, and it is clearly a front side address. Okay, Excelvan BM-800. One more thing in the box is this totally stupid cable. If you need to hook a phantom-powered condenser microphone into a 3.5mm or 1/8 inch, if you're an American, tip ring sleeve connector, this is dumb. Don't use that. Here's something that'll actually work. This is a Ceramonic Smart Rig. Mine has been modified. If you aren't able to put on a standard pinout, you can always use one of these adapters. These are made to go into smartphones, and this is the Rode. I think they call it an SH3, or I don't remember, something like that. But it repins it out so it'll plug into, for instance, your camera or whatever recording device you are using that has that type of input. They actually work, and they sound pretty decent. For our sound test today, we're going to be using one of my trusty Zoom H5s. I have already gone in and made sure that there are no effects, that there are that phantom power is turned on, no compression, no EQing, none of that business. So it's the straight up sound from the mic. And I will compare it to this Behringer B-1, which I already know that I really like. The Behringer B-1 cost me about $100. This guy, as I said before, cost me $13.99. So let's get some sound from either one of these. Now I'll go back and forth a little bit, and let's get these just a little bit closer to my grill. Alright, so here's the sound from this Excelvan BM-800, and here's the sound from the Behringer B-1. So for this section, a couple of things. I have turned down the gain somewhat on this BM-800. Initially, I had them both set at 5 on this H5 recorder. I have turned the BM-800 down to 4. And since you have to look at my dumb face for this, I'm going to make it up to you, speaking of BMs, by reading an excerpt from everyone's favorite Amazon review. It is sugar-free gummy bears. Now, I will have the name of the mic that you're currently listening to up here on the screen so that you can make your judgment with your ears. I didn't feel the need to plan my weekend around 5 small gummy bears, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It began with a noticeable change in the viscosity of my saliva. Within minutes of consumption, my mouth had filled with a thick, foamy slime. Though I was in a cool, climate-controlled room, a salty sweat broke out, and I felt my heartbeat quicken as my body threw itself into fight or flight. The animal noises broadcasting from my pelvis were an ominous warning of the violent acts that were to follow. I shuddered my way into the bathroom, clawing at my belt, moaning with pain. The smell came first. It started sweet, almost tangy. It was quickly overpowered by a cloying chemical perfume. The first volley of feces hit the water like soda cans and nickels, the resulting splash drenching my bottom in foul brackish water. But this was quickly becoming the least of my worries. After another moment, the noises in my core hit a fever pitch, and I was struck rigid with pain. The sweat was now running into my eyes, but the room had turned ice cold, and my hands began to spasm. I felt an insidious burning flooding in my escape hatch. I gasped. Hot yellow poison began spraying from my rear, changing in pitch and echo as the stream of diarrhea whipped around the toilet bowl, creating a nightmarish Doppler effect that can only be appreciated in hindsight. Haha. My legs fell asleep sitting on the toilet. I couldn't have stood up if I wanted to. Wiping was a no-go. Toilet paper simply became a vile papier-mâché. My hands were quickly soiled. A full-blown shower was needed, and all of my towels had to be burned. So, happy with my purchase, I would recommend to friends and definitely buying again. Alright, so tell me, what do you think? Is the BM-800 a viable option for a low or no budget studio recording large diaphragm condenser mic, or should you spend the extra money? I can't believe I'm saying extra money for a Behringer microphone, but here it is, the $100 Behringer B-1. Comment below, let me know what you think about it, and don't forget to try sugar-free gummy bears. Thanks for watching.